Hi, thanks for joining me. We have Lady Victoria up for review today. Now, as always, the yacht pack is ready to go for this boat. So if you'd like to receive all of the photographs, all of the detailed descriptions and full specifications, along with some pricing analysis, then click on that yacht pack button over from the website. If you're watching this on YouTube, then get yourselves over to insideyachting.com. Click on the yacht pack button and leave your name and your email address and the name of the boat that you're interested in, and we'll get that over to you right away. So let's take a look at Lady Victoria. So she's an 88-foot Rayburn hull. She was built in 2004. Rayburn have put out a few boats of similar style to this. You may remember we did a review on Splash not too long ago. It's a very similar feel to the interior. Of course, Splash was right on the 100-foot mark. So she has 88 feet in length, 21 feet in beam, a nice shallow draft at 5 feet, so it's great for cruising around the islands. This is a fiberglass hull and superstructure. She has a top speed of 22 knots, but really is designed as more of a sort of long-range cruiser. And in fact, at about 10 knots, she can get just over 1,700 nautical miles out of the one fuel capacity. So a great option for people who are looking to get on board the boat and really travel distance, maybe even live aboard. So she's currently for sale at $3,995,000. She's here in the States. She's up in South Carolina. So let's take a look through some of the photographs. Some of the exterior shots here. The Rayburns that they've put out of a similar style all have the same sort of full-length windows wrapping right around the house there. They always have a great country kitchen in the front of them as well. So a nice profile, almost has a bit of a hatcheress look to the boat, which is always popular around here. The sun deck, it does have that central mast in there, so it's not completely open forward to back, but they do make a great use of the area up here. They have a jacuzzi up here and some nice seating, some deck chairs, and that removable bimini top up there as well. So really the interior is where the Rayburns sort of come into their own. They have this beautiful quality of the finish through here, the mahogany that runs right through the interior of the boat into the country kitchen. They have teak and holly flooring through there as well, so it really gives it this stately home feel. So beautiful right through the main salon there. Feels a lot sort of more voluminous than it might be on paper. The ceiling details here, it sort of breaks up that sometimes monotonous ceiling run in these boats that are open plan concept from the back to the front. So I really like the way that they've integrated the woodwork here. They have a nice big pop-up screen TV in this area as well, although you can't see it in those photographs. And a nice dining table that you can see in that bottom photograph there. So the boat is a 4-stateroom layout. The master cabin, which is the top cabin on the left-hand side, that's a big king-size bed. They've elevated that a little bit to give you plenty of storage underneath the bed as well. There are 2 other VIP cabins. One is all the way up forwards in the bow. That's the cabin that you can see at the top there in the on the right-hand side. Beautiful skylight in the ceiling there as well. Really, it feels like sort of a suite, this cabin up here. It's got its own little seating area there to the starboard side. All of the cabins are en suite as well. So the other VIP cabin is down on the lower decks, the same deck as the master cabin, and that's a queen size bed too. And then the 4th cabin is this twin that we see at the bottom on the right hand side there. So you can see the sort of feel of the interior continues throughout all the cabins. You still have this beautiful mahogany cabinetry and details to the walls right the way through all of these cabins. So a real nice quality feel. And that's the same with all of the Rayburn boats. They really do a great job of the cabinetry. So here we see the country style kitchen. I have this nice island here through to the helm station and all of the pilot house equipment that you would expect to see on a boat of this size. All of the GPS, chart plotters, radars, it's all here. Now the galley has a lot of upgraded equipment, has some Sub-Zero fridge freezers, the nice big oven, full cooktop, dishwashers, ice makers. They've squeezed a lot of equipment into this area here. And then a quick shot of the Caterpillar engines up at the top on the right hand side. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the boat can reach up to about 22 knots. They usually cruise at about 14 knots, and the economical speed is right around 10 knots. As I mentioned, 10 knots they can get just over 1,700 nautical miles out of the one fuel capacity. So a great distance out of a boat that can, if you need and want it to, get up to 22 knots. Quite often in the boats that are designed to go for much further distances and have a greater range, quite often they're the boats that will only do a maximum of 12 to 14 knots and then usually cruise at around 10 knots to get that larger range. But here the Caterpillar engines with the common fuel rails are very, very, very fuel efficient. So great sort of compromise there, almost the best of both worlds. So here we see the layout of Lady Victoria. Let's start on the right hand side, which is the lower decks. You can see the crew cabins are all the way aft, which is for me the best place for crew. It kind of lets them have their own entrance and exit on and off the boat without having to walk all the way through all of the guest the sort of guest areas and through the galley. If they're all the way forwards, then quite often they'll have to go through the whole main salon and through the galley and then down into their own area. But here, have them at the back. It works a bit better with the flow of the boat, and of course they're right next to the engine room, so when the boat's up and running, it's really the best place for them to be. So the full beam master cabin, that was the King, as we saw, has a nice ensuite bathroom there, almost full beam bathroom as well. The other two VIP cabins, there's the cabin all the way up the bow, which as we saw, almost feels like its own sort of suite. And then on the port side is the other Queen, and opposite that on the starboard is the Twin. Now the main salon and the dining room flows nicely into the country style kitchen, and there of course is the helm station, and that's the access down into that forward VIP. So that forward VIP is almost its separate sort of little area as well, with a separate entrance into there. So nice layout, beautiful layout for this size boat, and it only runs with 2 crew as well. So it's a nice efficient way of running a boat of this size, and really for a owner that's going to live aboard, it's nice just having the 2 crew in the one cabin. Is quite often a team that will run it, a captain and wife team. So let's look at some of the other specifications here. Launched in 2004. She has a range there. That range says 580 miles. That's at their cruising speed, which I believe is around 16 knots, 14, 16 knots. Bring that down to 10 knots, and the range triples up to over 1,700 nautical miles. Fuel capacity is fairly good, 2,900 gallons. Water capacity, they have the great water makers on board, so that's not too much of a concern. The Caterpillars are 3412s, great engines to have on board with the Common Rail fuel delivery system, makes it a lot more fuel efficient. And she is here in the States, as I mentioned, in South Carolina. Now they have a lot of different individual points here. The write-up is fairly lengthy, so I won't go through everything. As always, I'd encourage you to get the yacht pack. It has all of this information in there, plus a whole group of other information on on the pricing and any other information, insider information that we have about the boat. So a great option for that, and it's just over here on the right hand side. Click on that Yacht Pack button. So here it lists those speeds and the cruising ranges. 22 knots there, 16 is the cruise, and economical is 10 knots, which actually gives it a 1250. I apologize, I thought that was oh, actually that's the RPM. So at 1250 RPM it is 1745 nautical miles. So I was right in there. In fact, the difference between 16 knots and 22 knots doesn't give you a huge difference in cruising range. So that's actually, it's almost quite surprising that the difference is so large between 10 and 16, and then 16, which is probably about 70% load on the main engines, up to 95 to 100% load on the engines, the 22 knots. It actually doesn't reduce the cruising range by that much. So just flick forwards there. So great fuel efficiency out of those engines at the higher RPMs. The generators that they have on board, they're the Northern Light generators. They're almost always they will be the John Deere engines. That was the engine of choice for Northern Lights as the generator company. The mechanical end would be the John Deere engines. So very easy to work on, very easy to get spares, and quite often they're one of the more sort of robust engines as well. The air conditioning that they have on board, Cruisair, that's a US manufacturer, so very easy again to get spares if you're cruising over this side of the pond. Bow thruster steering is all detailed here, and then you go on to all of the navigation equipment. Entertainment equipment on board, they had that big flat screen TV in the main salon. It also has the TVs in all the cabins as well. McGalley equipment, we saw the Sub-Zero, the fridge freezer in there, the ice maker, the fridge freezer drawers that are in there as well, the nice large oven, the trash compactor. So they've packed a lot of equipment into there. Tenders and toys, they have a nice 15-foot Nova Rainier on board. And they also have a much higher powered crane. They have a 2,000-pound crane on board as well, so it can carry a larger tender than is currently on board. Then it goes into some firefighting equipment and the safety and security equipment as well. So the write-up here, as I mentioned, is very long. It goes into detailing all of the individual cabins. So I'll flick through this, get that yacht pack, and you can read all of that at your own time. So that's Lady Victoria, highly customized boat that was built and designed by an experienced yachtsman. Has that beautiful upgraded interior. Even with all of that extra woodwork, it still has a very shallow draft at 5 foot. So great option, nice 4 stateroom cabin under 90 feet and at a great asking price as well. So get that yacht pack. Also join us for the daily yacht tours when Lady Victoria comes down here, and she has been down here quite often. We will get on board and take a look around, so join us for that. The yacht packs are already created for all of the boats that are currently available on the market. So any boat that you've seen and you're interested in getting any more information about, request that yacht pack over here on the right hand side and we'll get that off to you right away. So we've got 2 other boats for you in this week's reviews. We have Miss Lisa and C1, so be sure to click through to them, and the links for those will be just down below. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you over there.